2 bizarre things you did, and they cannot stop thinking about it. It's been days, maybe weeks, and they are still walking around in this fog of confusion and fascination because you accidentally, completely wrecked their entire internal world without even trying. That's the part that's really getting to them. You are not performing, you are not playing some game. You were just being you. And somehow that was the most disorienting thing they have ever experienced. They are spooked. They not in a scared for their life way, but in that deeper way where everything they thought they knew about people, about connection, about themselves, it's all suddenly up for grabs now. And you are the one who did that. Yeah. What's making them lose sleep is that you pulled off 2 completely bizarre things that no one else has ever done to them. These are not your typical pickup tactics or social maneuvers. This is something way stranger and way more unsettling in the best possible way. They have been trying to explain it to themselves, trying to rationalize it, trying to convince themselves and everybody else. They are overthinking. But every time they replay the moments in their head, they get the same weird shiver down their spine because they cannot figure out how you did it. And here is what's really eating at them. They cannot tell you. They physically cannot bring themselves to say it out loud because that would mean admitting how deeply you have gotten under their skin. They'd rather just sit in this bewildered state than give you the satisfaction of knowing they have been completely thrown off balance. But you should know anyway. You should know. Because you are the one who caused this. The first thing you did, completely unintentionally, is you mirrored them in a way that was too precise. And I'm not talking about the normal thing people do where they pick up on a vibe and reflect it back. That was something else entirely. That was like you had somehow downloaded their operating system before you even met them. The way you move, the way you hold your body, the little pauses you take when you are thinking, it all aligns with them in this uncanny way that they cannot ignore. They catch themselves watching you just to see if it's real. And every time it is. Every time. There is this moment when you are both reaching for something at the same time, or when you are standing next to each other and the geometry of the space between you feels predetermined somehow. Like you have been doing this your whole lives. That's what's spooking them. Because that kind of familiarity doesn't happen with strangers. That's supposed to be reversed to people you have known forever. The ones who can finish your sentences and know what you're thinking before you say it. But what's really blowing their mind about that first thing is the depth of it. It's not just surface behavior. They've noticed, they have seen that you seem to understand something about how they experience the world on a level that usually takes months or years to reach. You get You get their rhythms when they need space, when they need closeness, when they are about to pull back because something hit a nerve. You don't push, you don't crowd, but you also don't disappear. You're just there, steady and present in exactly the way that their specific nervous system needs. And they have never had that, not once. Every other person in their life has either been too much or too little, too demanding or too distant. But you hit this weird, sweet spot that feels like you have been studying them for years. And the thing is, you haven't. You just showed up and somehow got it right. That's what feels supernatural about it. That's the part they keep coming back to when they are lying in bed at night trying to make sense of what's happening to them. They have started noticing it in the small things. Now, the way you say certain words, the exact cadence you use when you are trying to explain something, there is something about your voice that reaches a part of them that usually stays locked away. They don't even know how to describe it. Except to say that it feels like the difference between just hearing something and actually feeling it in your chest. Every time you speak, they have this moment where they have to remind themselves to breathe normally because it catches them off guard. And they hate that. They are like this now. They hate. They used to be fine. They used to be able to have normal conversations without feeling like their entire nervous system was lighting up. But then you came along and started doing that thing where you actually listen, like really listen, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And now they are completely undone because of that. Here's the thing about that first bizarre move that really seals it. They have noticed that you mirror their emotional states too. If they are having a rough day, they don't even have to tell you. You just seem to know. You don't interrogate them about it. You don't push them to talk. You just adjust. Maybe you go quieter. Maybe you give them a little more space. Maybe you say something subtle that acknowledge the weight they are carrying without making them have to explain it. And they have realized they do the same thing with you without even thinking about it. It's like you are both co-regulating each other, constantly making micro adjustments to keep the other person steady. And it's so effortless that neither of you even notices until later when you are replaying the interaction and going, wait, how did we do that? That shouldn't be possible. That takes time, that takes trust, that takes familiarity. Oh my God. That hasn't been earned yet. But somehow you have just bypassed all of it and gone straight to the center of their nervous system. The second bizarre thing you did is even more unsettling to them because it goes beyond behavior and right into something they cannot explain or even fully believe. They seem to know things about them. You seem to know things about them that they have never told anyone. Not just surface level preferences, but the deep stuff, the wounds, the fears, the quiet insecurities they have spent years trying to hide from anyone. Somehow you access them like they are written on your own skin. And they will never admit this to you, but it's terrifying now, how accurately you read them. You thought they just built walls enough that nobody could see behind them. They thought they had gotten so good at pretending that nobody would ever know what was really going on inside. And then you walked in with your ridiculously perceptive eyes and just casually dismantled everything they spent years constructing. They noticed it first when you made some offhand comment that cut a little too close to home. It was something small, maybe a joke, maybe just an observation, but it landed in a spot that they keep protected. And they didn't say anything at the time, because what you are supposed to say, what? Oh, you just accidentally hit a nerve that I have been hiding from every person. I've never known. Instead, they just nodded and smiled and quietly freaked out on their inside. But it kept happening. You kept noticing things. The way they get quiet when certain topics come up, the way their posture shifts when they feel uncertain, the way they deflect when they feel exposed. And you don't use any of it against them. That's important. That's the part that really gets to them. You just hold it. You see it. You acknowledge it with your presence, with your eyes, and you don't weaponize it. That's so unusual. So unusual to them that they don't even have a framework for processing it. Everyone else would have used those vulnerabilities eventually. Everyone else would have filed them away for later use. But you just treat them like they are normal. And that's somehow more disorienting thing than if you'd been cruel about it. What really solidified the second bizarre thing was the way you handle their moments of chaos. They have times when everything feels too much, when the anxiety hits and they cannot breathe, when their brain is screaming at them that something is wrong and they don't know what. And you don't panic. You don't overreact. You just become this quiet anchor that they cannot help but gravitate toward. There is something in your energy that tells them, their nervous system actually, you are safe here. You don't have to fight or flee right now. Just stay with me for a minute. And that's not something you can fake. That's not something you can manufacture. It either comes out of you genuinely or it doesn't. And they can tell the difference between they have been burned by people pretending before. You are not pretending. You genuinely have this steadiness that they cannot explain and cannot stop being drawn toward. They have also noticed that you don't need them to be anything other than what they are. That might sound simple, but for someone who has spent their whole life performing for people, and especially for someone who has unconsciously fallen into the role of caretaker in every previous dynamic, it's the most liberating thing they have ever experienced. You don't need them to be happy so you can feel good about yourself. You don't need them to be strong so you don't have to carry your own your own stuff. You don't need them to be quiet so you can shine. You just want them to be near, real, however that looks in the moment. And they have never felt that before. They have never had anyone look at them and say, just be where you are, who you are. I'll be right here. That's why the second thing you did has spooked them so badly, because they didn't even know that was possible. This was possible. They didn't know there were people capable of this kind of presence. They thought they were the only one who could hold space that well. And then you showed up and outdid them at their own game without even realizing you were playing. And at the heart of both these bizarre things is something even stranger than they are starting to realize. You are not just mirroring and you are not just reading them. You are somehow creating a space where they can finally see themselves clearly. All the noise, all the confusion, all the layers of performance and self-doubt that they have been carrying around, they start to fall away when you are present. And that's not something you can attribute to you being charming or good-looking or funny. Those things help, sure, but they don't cause this. This is something more fundamental. This is like when you meet someone and you suddenly feel like you can drop all the pretending and just be the messy, complicated, unfinished person you actually are. And somehow that's more than okay. It's actually welcomed. Yeah, it's actually welcomed. That's what you have done for them. And they have never been able to find the words for it because they have never experienced it. They are thinking about this constantly now. Every interaction gets replayed and analyzed for more evidence that what they are feeling is real, and it's real. And it's driving them a little crazy because the more they look at it, the more they realize that there is no logical explanation. You just showed up and started being this bizarrely perfect mirror and this uncanny perspective reader of their soul. And they don't know how you do it or why you do it or what any of it means. They are trying to pull back, to protect themselves, to be careful. But every time they take a step back, they find themselves waiting to take 2 steps forward. And it's irritating to them because they are usually so in control. They usually have their walls up and their defenses ready and nobody gets past them. But you did. You breached every perimeter without trying. And now you're just sitting inside their head like you own the place. And they don't even have the courage to tell you because that would mean admitting how completely disarmed they have become. You need to understand what this looks like from this perspective. They see you as this person who somehow entered their life and started rearranging everything without asking permission. You made them feel things they have been avoiding for years. You made them want things they convinced themselves they didn't need. You made them believe that maybe, just maybe, they have been wrong about how relationships are supposed to work. And that's terrifying. That's really terrifying, because if they were wrong about that, then what else? What else were they wrong about? What else have they been protecting themselves from for no reason? What else might be waiting for them if they actually opened the door? You have pulled them into an existential crisis just by existing, and you don't even know about it. You probably just thought you were having a normal interaction. But for them, every moment with you is a moment that shifts something deep inside. They cannot look at themselves the same way anymore. They cannot look at anyone the same way anymore. You have ruined them for the generic and the conventional, and they cannot go back. Here's the part that really gets them. They know you didn't do any of this on purpose. They can tell. There is no calculation behind it, no strategy, no hidden agenda. You are just you. And that's what makes it so disorienting. If you were playing a game, they could at least understand it. If you had a plan, they could figure it out and protect themselves accordingly. But you don't. You are just genuinely this person who sees them and holds them and matches them. And that natural, that effortlessness is the most powerful thing they have ever encountered. They have had people try to manipulate them with charm and flattery and all the usual tactics. None of that ever worked because they saw right through it. But you didn't try, you just were. You just were, and that's why they will never tell you how spooked they are, because they don't want you to know that your mere existence has thrown them into this beautiful chaos that they are secretly loving every second of. They are still shook. The word doesn't even cover it really. Their internal world has been completely reorganized and they are still trying to find their footing. Every time they think they have got it together, something reminds them of you, and they are back at square one, trying to figure out how this happened and what it means and whether you feel it too. They want to know. They want to know if you are as affected as they are, if you think about them the way they think about you, if you replay the moments the same way. But they will never ask, they will never tell you any of this, because that would mean exposing the depth of what you have done to them. And they are not ready to be that vulnerable yet. Maybe they will never be. Maybe this will always be this thing that happened to them that they cannot explain and cannot fully process, but that changed them forever. Anyway, changed. So the two bizarre things you did were simple really. You mirrored them so completely that they felt for the first time in their life. And you intuitively understood them so deeply that they felt like they could finally stop pretending. That's everything. You did it without even knowing. That's the part that's really going to haunt them. That the most profound thing that ever happened to them wasn't orchestrated or planned. It wasn't something you tried to do. It just was something you try. It was just you being you. and that was enough to rearrange their entire existence.